Test. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Mic check, mic check. All right, there we go. And now we need some music. We're going to lower this a little bit. We're going to zoom out the camera just a tad bit. And let's see. Now we're going to get some music going. Excuse me. I was going to stream today again, but I was planning on doing it at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is now 8:45 Central Standard Time. The afternoon and the evening got away from me a little bit. Let's see. Let's see, and I should probably alert the Discord that I'm live. Excuse me. All right. I was gonna work on a bug, but I decided I don't want to do that, and so I'm gonna go back to learn and go. So if you don't want to watch me stumble through learn and go, move along. Ducky Dev, oh, the thrill of the double life. Yeah, I mean, I guess it can be thrilling. Let's see. So we're gonna go to software, web and go. Actually, we're gonna go to database. Excuse me. So go web examples. All right, so this is where I was trying to translate this MySQL database tutorial to a SQLite database tutorial. Have you checked the DB out? I have looked at your repo. Actually, let me find that link again. For anybody else who may be hanging out with us, Mr. Ducky Dev in the chat built a database using Express. It's basically like an Express server, essentially, right, Ducky? I mean, maybe that's not how you would explain it, but it's basically a database exposed over an Express server. Let me find the link here. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Ducky Dev. Appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, no, that's the wrong thing. Copy. Um, Copy text. There we go. My question to you, Ducky, when I was looking at this is, how do you intend, or how do you see people? I guess I need to guess I need a GitLab account. Hold on. How do you, Ducky? How do you expect people to run this, or how do I guess you built it for yourself? So how do you run this? Do you just start it up with something like you just hit like npm run, npm start, or do you use what's that? There's a node process manager. What is that called? Node process PM2. I'm curious. Hold on. What it says is can hold on. Why is this not working? Oh, it's because there's a bunch of extra shit in this link. There we go. Node version. No, I guess just do bun start. Oh, so it uses bun. Okay, I didn't notice that. Or you would expect people to use bun. I guess you could use node, huh? Oh, it had the mention in there. PM2. Yeah, I guess I'm just curious how you run this. Like, if you were going to use this database as a backing store for your application, how would you host it? Works in Node, yeah. But if you were to host it, like, would you just put it on a server, put it behind a reverse proxy, and then just PM2 and then take off? The MongoDB was a test for comparison. Yeah. I mean, I would have never seen, I never thought I'd see someone build a database like this. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You guys should check it out. I'll put the link in the chat. Or Ducky, do you care if I put the link in the chat? I mean, I kind of doxed it already on stream just by showing it, because I guess they could probably get here just using your GitLab name and repo name. Hey Boston, how are you, man? Good to see you again. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll post it. I'll post it in the chat in case people want to check it out. At some point, I'll pull it down and I'll give it a try. Just at the moment, I'm gonna database. Boston sports cards. How are you? I'm good. I'm good, Boston. Just hanging out with you all tonight. I'm gonna try to learn some Go. Yeah, all's well, man. All's well. Yeah, feeling a little better today. Definitely feeling better than yesterday. Okay, so all right, here we go. Let's dive right in. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to create a users table here. So we're going to say query. Actually, I'm going to call this create users table query. And I need Copilot to stop trying to help me. Then we're going to have backticks here. And then we are going to create. Now we're just writing SQL. Create table users. We need to define our columns and their types. So our columns are going to be ID. That's going to be an int. It's going to auto increment. This is going to be a, hey Mob Psycho, how are you? Boston, I'm checking something. I'll be... Hold on one sec. Yeah, okay, sorry, I got distracted for a second there. Yeah, Boston, do your thing, man. Okay, so we're doing ID int. Okay, now we're doing username. This can never be null. Or it should not be null. This is going to be text. Not null. Created at date time. Primary key. Say AQ says, yo, finally some coder. SAQ says, bye, bored. Well, SAQ, you are a tough audience. Yeah, if you're looking for someone more like the Primogen, you won't find him here, SAQ. Mob Psycho, doing well. I joined the last stream, but had to leave for a meeting that lasted 2 hours. Oof. Yeah, hey, Mob Psycho, I found myself in a meeting that lasted 2 hours this afternoon. It was scheduled from 2 to 3. And I was going to stream at 3, and then it went on till 4 o'clock. So that's why I'm here streaming at 9. Okay, so we got primary key. All right, now let's actually try to execute this. So I'm guessing there's some type of object, db, or some type of method, db exec, yep. And this is just going to take our create users query. And then what does this hand back? This hands back a result and an error. Okay, well, I'm kind of interested what these are. So I'm going to say result, res, and error. Create user. Create user table result. I think I just want to print them. Let's see. What does create table result have on it? Last insert ID. Rows affected. Interesting. Alright, we'll just say if let's just discard the result for now, and we'll say if create user table air is not null, is not nil. I swear I'm never gonna say that right. Then we're gonna print it. Ducky Dad, my next project is a custom tail scale server. I don't even know what that is. Ducky, you're building some cool projects, man. Very ambitious stuff. Mob Psycho, by the way, thanks for accepting the LinkedIn request. Of course, man. Yeah, happy to connect with people. All right, let's create a user. So we'll do new user, username. I'm gonna they want to do John Doe, but I'm gonna call it John Wick. John.Wick, and then new user password. Everybody hide your eyes. You don't know the password. Super secret password. And then created at, and looks like you can do this, time.now. Well, I learned that today. And then we're just going to have a create user and this is just going to be db.exe, and this is going to be a create user query, and let's define that up here. Create user excuse me, create user query. And then here we're just back to writing SQL, right? So we're going to say insert into users. And then we need to define our columns. Oh, looks like there's some interpolation that you can do here. So this is, okay, so this is going to be username, password, created at, and then values, which are going to be this. And this will be username, password, created at new user. Whoops. New user name. I'm going to put some new lines here because this is tough for me to read on a small. Create username, user password, and then new user created at. Can you say 6-7? I just said it. Kuzo says, "Who needs ORMs anyway?" Yeah, I agree with you, Kuzo. ORMs are pretty baller. But I just don't know enough about Go yet to know what ORMs I should be using, so I'm just learning about how to use kind of the raw SQLite driver at the moment. But I'm sure at one point I'm going to know Go well enough to where I'll know what the right ORM is to use. Let's see. Pickle says, I'm speechless. Pure handsomeness right on the screen. Well, I appreciate that, Pickle's very kind. Boston, don't worry about taking 5 minutes, man. Take all the time you need. Live your life. Don't worry about my stream. You do whatever you need to do. Mob Psycho, are you planning to learn AI ML? So Mob Psycho, I guess yes, I am. But I guess I should say I'm more of just trying to learn more about transformers specifically. Boston says it's a joke because there's a song that says 6'7", so I was joking. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, I'm not up on the latest trends, man. It's an old man. I'm an old man. JK, what do you recommend doing for my graduation final project? I'm a CS student. That's tough, JK. I don't know, man. What are you interested in? I'd pick something that you're interested in. Does your project criteria have like any constraints? Like it needs to be in this area or to do this thing? But if it was me, I'd try to orient it towards something I was interested in. Boss, you're not old, but you're way. Fair enough, man. Not in a weird way. I just never know like all the latest internet trends that are going around. I try to stay up to date, but sometimes I'm out of the loop. Okay, let's see. User ID or user ID error. I'm not sure how I'm liking this part of Go. Not sure how I feel about this. Create user result dot. I guess it's nice that this is this so you see how like every time you do something right you have a result or an error, you know, result or an error, result or an error. I guess it's nice that there's some fundamental acknowledgement that like every operation can succeed or it can fail. But to me it's kind of, I don't know, it seems a little painful at the same time. Okay, cool. I'll check that out, Boston. I appreciate you educating the old man. It's very kind of you. Let's see. Format.print. As you can tell, I'm not a very fast coder. I like to think about what I'm doing. Probably to a fault. Print ID. User ID. Looky there, we added a user. You're not old, you're young. Yeah, I guess 31. It depends on what your age is, right? If you're 13 and I'm 31, then I guess I could be old. But if you're 65 and I'm 31, then I'm not old. Mob Psycho, is it similar to Try Catch? Basically. I mean, that seems to be the gist, is that Go seems to have this idea of like kind of a results pattern. But it's interesting because the result, what they call a result, can sometimes be its own thing, right? So it's like every method seems to return two items, an error or a result. Boston, I'm sorry I don't know a lot about code. I wish I could talk more about that. Oh, no, don't worry about it, Boston. Talk about what you know, man. Neo, what's the time there? The time is 9:15 p.m. Mob Psycho. Yeah, it's like a results pattern, but it's kind of noisy, if it seems like. I mean, I'm all for a results pattern. It just seems noisy on every single method call to have to deal with a possible error being returned. But then again, I also get it. Like I also kind of like that idea of not using exceptions for control flow, but it's just different. It's just different. And I'm trying to do my best not to compare the Go to other things I know. I did not intend for that to rhyme. Boston, can I talk about basketball with you? Sure, Boston. I just don't know a ton, but you're more than welcome to chat about it, man. Okay, so now I want to query the user I just created. Right? So the way it looks like you do this is you do db.query row. And then it says query executes a query that is expected to return at most one row. Query row always returns a non-nil value. Errors are deferred until the scan method is called. If the query selects no rows, row.scan will return error no rows. Otherwise, row.scan scans the first selected row and discards the rest. Okay, so can I do select star from users, lowercase? What's the second method? What's the second argument here? Huh. Well, here's the snippet of code I'm looking at, but I don't really understand it. Carter, yo, what's up? Boston, who is the best point guard of all time and why? Mine is Steph Curry. I honestly, I couldn't pick one, nor could I justify him. I didn't play basketball growing up, so I know very little about the game other than just like watching people. But I try not to have too strong opinions on things I don't terribly understand. Now, if you ask me who is the best linebacker of all time, I could give you a strong opinion there. So I don't understand this. Let's see. So okay. So select from, yeah. So I need a where clause in there, and then I'll replace it. Okay. So select from users where ID equals question mark. And then we can type, oops, dot scan. Oh, interesting. You have to have it like this, huh? That's interesting. So you have to put the period on the same line and then the method call below it. User. I'm gonna get Diggs jersey. Are you doing SQL injections today? No, I'm not doing SQL injections today, Sogo. But I am trying to learn how to work with SQL in Go. What are your thoughts on Steph Diggs signed to the Pats? I think it's great, man. Yeah, I think Steph Diggs should go play football wherever he wants to go play football, you know? I'm sure you're excited about it, Boston. Knowing where you're from. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So, what is this? Someone's messaging me on Discord. Okay, so this is instead of declaring and initializing a variable. So let's do this. Hold on. Let me change this around. So let's do username. We'll say var username of type string. And then we pass this in. But I don't know what the and sign stands for. That must be some way to declare that you're passing by reference. Go. Pass by reference. Yeah. So this is where I'm declaring I'm passing a reference. Which is how then this must bind the value. So if I say get user error, this is interesting. This is actually forcing me to learn quite a bit of Go stuff just from doing this. Okay, equals nil. Format dot print line get user error. Otherwise, we should be able to print the username. And so I'm assuming that this username value should get bound to this variable somehow. Something the scan method does makes all that magic happen. So let's see. Go run, and I think this should print 2 because yeah. Let's see, no rows in result set. Is there a problem with my SQL query? Users where ID equals You have to type your actual YouTube username and password for it to work. Sogo, that's diabolical. That's absolutely diabolical. Why don't you just use Cobalt? Abra favorite Pokemon. Is that really your favorite Pokemon? Is Abra? That seems kind of like an underpowered Pokemon. But yeah, I guess I don't know why I would use Cobalt. Cobalt seems like it's not a very popular language, nor widely used. Boston, guess what? What Boston? Let's see, Boston. My favorite player, Jason Tatum, is injured. Oh, that sucks, man. It sucks when any athlete gets injured. Let's see, Boston. Do you remember me telling you I was going to a Celtics game? Well, I did, and I got my hat signed by 2 NBA champions. That's awesome, dude. I bet that was a blast. I've never been to an NBA game before, so that's awesome, man. I bet it was the atmosphere at NBA games looks electric. So there's something wrong with my query. Oh, do I have to? I have to probably have to include ID in this, don't I? In the select. Do I need to do that? I honestly don't know. Huh. Yeah, okay, so I wouldn't think I'd need to. So what's wrong here? Users where Yeah, it was fun. I lost my voice. Well, it sounds like it was a great trip then, man. Okay, so let's just do it exactly the way this thing says to do it. This is why people use ORMs. Okay, so let's do var. Let's close this sidebar because it's taking up way too much room. Let's see. Brett says, "Isn't the ORM worth it? You don't need all the benefits without it." Totally, I would totally agree, Brett. The ORM is totally worth it. Um, but I'm just kind of trying to follow along with this example, so I can get a rough understanding of how one would do this, how one would use SQL in Go. But so far I'm failing at it. But if I ever actually build an application in Go, I will most definitely be using an ORM. See, Boston. I also wore my Jordan Walsh jersey. When I got his attention, he pointed at me, smiled. No one has his jersey. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I bet professional sports players that are sort of, they're not the main guy, right? I'm sure they appreciate that when fans show support like that. Gotta go. Thanks for chatting. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Have a great day. You too, Boston. Thanks for hanging out, man. We appreciate it. Have a good evening. No rows in results SQL. I don't understand why that's the case. I wonder what happened. Let's see. Now I'm going down the rabbit hole of let's see. Go SQL Lite. Okay, let's not do this. Get user query. I wonder if how do I bind this like in an array? Go SQL 3 return array. have SQLite. Winget SQLite. Excuse me. This isn't really learning Go at this point, but now I want to know. Now I want to figure out how to make this work. Which honestly is half the fun of any of these side quests that you go on. What is it? DT? What is it? SQLite show tables. Oh, yeah. Dot tables. Okay, select. Oops. Okay, so I definitely have users in there. Oh, there's no ID column. Well, there's the issue. So what's wrong with my code? Is it this auto increment? Does SQLite not support that auto? Oh, should there not be an underscore here? This is my SQLite knowledge. Oh, probably need to exit this. Okay, that's not right. You get one for free called row ID. This is in every SQLite table, whether you ask for it or not. Sogo, let's go. Getting close. Hey, wouldn't it be easier in Visual Studio or something like that? Yeah, probably. But I don't mind using it on the command line. That's fine with me. I probably need more practice writing raw SQL anyways. Oh, so I use integer primary key is what I want, not auto increment. Well, that's what I get for trying to translate MySQL to SQLite without doing any primary. Let's see. So int primary key. Let's try that. Table users. Why is this being so difficult for me? Because you don't know what you're doing, that's why. Okay, so it didn't create it. I keep forgetting the semicolon. Dot exit. I know, this is fascinating content to watch. Oh, I wonder if that's... I remember that. Syntax error. This is why people use ORMs. Expected 4 death. Okay, that's good. So now we are... Now where we want to be. Okay. So here we're going to do... We're just going to select username. Excuse me, where ID is that? We're going to pass in our user ID that we just created. And then we want to declare... let's declare a variable up here called username. That's going to be type string. And Copilot's trying to help me again. And we're just going to bind username line. In the same time it took me to figure this out, somebody has like built SQLite. Okay, here we go. No rows in result set. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so why is there no ID here? Is it because I'm not setting it? Anwar, hi. Hello, Anwar. Sogo, you just leaked the password on stream. Yeah, the super secret password. He's good. He's learned SQL and Go in one night. Yeah. Oh, hey, how are you tonight? Maddox, I'm good. I'm just I'm struggling to be any sorts of productive. I don't quite I don't quite know my SQL. um Okay, so last thing I'm going to try here. Let's exit this guy. Let's go back here. This should be able to be user ID. So the problem is I'm querying by ID, but there's no ID value for any of my users. So I'm going to set this to be integer, primary key, and then I'm also going to use the auto increment. Because that's what Stack Overflow is saying. And we're going to remove, did we remove the test DB already? Just remove that. Go run. Auto increment is only allowed on an integer primary key. Is that not what that is? Oh, int. So what, you want me to use the actual word integer? The different flavors of SQL. Okay. Looky there. We did it. Oh my gosh. Dude, that's so stupid. Max, I don't think I've seen you on this late. Yeah, usually no. Usually I don't stream this late. I was going to stream at 3 o'clock this afternoon, but I had a meeting at 2 that ran over to 4. And then by 4 o'clock, my family was already home. So I was like, I'll just wait till this evening when everybody goes to bed. Maddox, I learned in physical therapy this week that I really need to get to the gym and actually go in. Oh, that's right. You hurt your shoulder, right? Your arm or your shoulder, Maddox? How's that coming along, man? Are you healing up okay? I am curious. Like this example is just showing how to retrieve a single user. Oh no, here it is. Now it's telling me how to query all users. Okay. Okay, so that's how I get a single user. So let's now write a query to get all users. God, an ORM would make this so much easier. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to say rows, airs, and you're going to say users, get users air, db.query, select star from users. Why use backticks though? Is that necessary? Okay, if get user air is not nil, then we're gonna print that. Print line. Okay. This is where things get a little messy. So defer users dot close. So this is kind of interesting. Somebody in my chat explained this to me yesterday or the day before. So this means that this call will not run until this variable goes out of scope. It's kind of interesting. Maddox, I was doing an exercise to re-strengthen my pec and sent my trap into a cramp. Hurt so freaking bad. Need a gym membership and a yogi. Yeah, that sucks, man. Sounds like your physical therapist is making you get after it, is what it sounds like. So that's good. But yeah, man, you should once your shoulders all healed up, arms all healed up, you should get in the gym, dude. Okay, so now we're gonna loop over users, and these are gonna be of type user, but I need to declare that type user struct. This is gonna be ID int username string. Password string. Someone who knows Go is watching this and is like, why is this guy such an idiot? That's probably what people think who like are experts at NeoVim watching me use NeoVim. Why is this so painful to watch? Please make it stop. For rows next. Okay, so this has like an iterator. Oh, no, not rows, users. Next. So this is like an iterable. And then we're going to say var user. Okay. That's a struct of that type. Air. And we're going to say, oh, really, this shouldn't be, this actually is bad. This should be, we should rename this. User rows. Get user air. Can I use that? Because it's in a different scope. And then here you're basically going to say get we're going to have users row dot scan, and then we're going to bind it. We're going to bind all the return values to the fields on that struct. And then this is how you build up an array. So you say append users u. Oh, we need an assignment. Thunder Gaming. HY, bro. Hello, Thunder Gaming. How are you doing? Maddox goes into gym, stares intensely at equipment. Alright, that's enough for today. Time for a break and a burger. That doesn't sound like a bad strategy. Suhas, no notification again by YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry, Suhas. I missed 1 hour of live stream. Suhas, yes. Suhas, I did the little bell thing. Huh, I'm sorry, Suhas, that didn't come through for you. If you join my Discord, which is linked in my description, I try to post in the Discord. every time I go live, so that might be a better way to make sure you're notified. So apologies though, you didn't get the heads up, man. If I could yell at someone at YouTube for you, I would. I'd call them up and be like, Suhas didn't get his damn notification. What is going on here? Suhas, I did. Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. So you're in the Discord already. Okay. Yeah, that's probably... I try to post in there. Slayer. What's up, Slayer? Is this Go? It is Go. It is probably very poorly written Go, but it is Go. Coder, Cardi Key. Let's code in Python. Don't make me do it, Coder, Cardi Key. Don't make me do it. I mean, I do know Python some, but I don't work in it very often, and I definitely don't reach for it. Maddox, jokes on y'all. I have every notification turned off, even Discord. Nice. Yeah, that's kind of how my phone is too, Maddox. I honestly, I turn off all the little badges, like the red numbered badges that show up on your apps. I hate those. I turn those off on everything. They're distracting. Can do at her or at everyone in Discord. That's what I usually do. So this is what I usually do in Discord, Suhas. I don't know if maybe I'm doing it wrong, which is why you didn't get it. But I have a channel that's called Streams, and then I just tag at everyone. So I don't. Maybe it's because I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure why that didn't show up for you. But that's what I tried to do. I try to say at everyone in Discord in the Streams channel. Okay, let's see if I'm getting all my users here. Maddox says hi. Hello, Maddox. Hello in Discord as well. Oh, maybe at here. Maybe I'll do at everyone and at here. Maybe that'll work better. In any event, I'm just going to blame YouTube, though. I think it's YouTube's problem. YouTube should have notified. If you subscribed and you rang that bell, this is YouTube's problem now. Alright, so let's figure out if we actually got our users here. Okay, so apparently, I guess after we do this, we can actually check if there's any errors. Let's see. Get users. User rows error. Error returns the error, if any, that was encountered during iteration. So if user rows okay, and then we can print our users. by saying format.printf. And this is some cryptic stuff. I don't know what this means. So %#v and then users. I probably should find out what that does, shouldn't I? Rohat Wog, how do I exit Vim? Yes. :Q should get it done. And if you made changes and you really mean you want to quit, like you really mean you want to quit Vim, then you do :Q ! Which means I want to quit this right now. I love that the exclamation point in Vim is like, that's like when you really want to do something. Slayer, hey Steven, I'm not able to finish my Spring Boot project, facing a lot of problems in Spring security. Can you help anything with that? By the way, the problem is with configuring it for JWT. I'm a beginner. Any help is appreciated. So I've implemented JWT authentication authorization before. I haven't implemented it in Spring Boot or Java, but I have implemented it in TypeScript applications, like Express applications, Next.js applications, C# applications. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have there. Curious what kind of issues you're running into. I might not be able to help you with Spring Boot specific stuff, but if you're having just issues with the whole idea of JWT in general, I'm happy to share what I know, which isn't to say I'm an expert, but it's just to say I've done it before. Oh, Maddox, that's super nice of you to do that. Yeah, I can lock streams down. How do I do that? Let's see. To restrict streams so it's just me that can post in there. So I'll just I'll just make it so that I can. Is that what we want to do? Just prevent other people from. Yeah, I can do that. Slayer, I recently switched to Spring Boot from Express.js. It is a completely new way of writing code. Yeah, I mean, every language has its own little, which is kind of funny, Slayer, because people will say, I know how to write code, or I know how to code, but really what they mean is, I know how to write a particular language. And whenever you switch from one language to another, you for sure take a little bit of a productivity hit. Because every language and then every framework within that language has its own little quirks, you know? You could probably pick it up quicker, right, than someone who doesn't know any programming language, but you know, if you're very effective in TypeScript and you go try to learn how to build a web API in Rust, you can probably figure it out, but you know, just because you know how to write TypeScript doesn't mean you know how to write Rust. Same thing goes for writing JavaScript and going to Java. But yeah, I'm not 100% certain, Slayer, what to tell you or how to give you help without more clarity on kind of what you're struggling with. You should create a stag for notification and add like a thing where you can select if you want to get notified. Let's see, click. You may have your Discord. Go to Streams channel. Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that with the stream channels and just make it so that only I can post messages there for those of you in the Discord. I'm gonna have Grok explain this to me. What does this do in Go? Including its type and structure. Okay. Interesting. Shows the slice type and its content. Well, let's give it a run and see if it works. Nice. It's very ugly. But easy enough. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, and then the other ones though, the other ones I'm pretty that doesn't the other ones don't like I understand how to do the other things. Like the other things are just deleting, you're going to delete a user. You're just going to execute a query. This is really the most complex part. But I'm guessing you never have to do this really manually if you're using an ORM. This is all taken care of by your ORM. Okay. I'm calling that tutorial done. Let's see. Alright, quit. Git, add, git, or no, hold on. Git, add, git, commits, feature, figure out, Go plus SQLite. Okay. Well, I'm kind of thinking that's going to do me in for the evening, guys, unless there's something else you guys want to take a gander at or talk about. Did you guys see all the hubbub going on with Next.js? God, there's like my Twitter feed was just blowing up the last couple of days with the Next.js vulnerability. Did anybody see this? Like half of the world thinks that it's a big deal, half of the world doesn't think it's a big deal. Oh man, look at all these stories. Look at this story. This this has got to be Next.js's like nightmare kind of story, right? That just yeah. But some people like Theo, like if you guys follow Theo on YouTube or Twitter, he was saying it's not an issue, that it was fixed quickly, and then other people were saying it wasn't. It was a big deal. I don't know what to think. WebDev Cody, if you guys don't follow WebDev Cody, you should go and subscribe to him right away, like right now. Go subscribe to him. He actually posted a video that I'm gonna go watch at some point, where I think he kind of goes through the topic. Well, we could watch it together. You guys want to watch it together?
Middleware and how I just didn't like it in Next.js, especially when you're using the output standalone. I'm pretty sure I mentioned.
Hold on. I've been listening to a podcast at the same time as talking to you guys. At the same time as listening to music. At the same time as trying to learn Go. Let me take my AirPods off. Maddox dropped the step-by-step in Discord. Well, I appreciate you, Maddox. This is very helpful of you. But I'll definitely do that. That way people can use that channel as a kind of a notification channel.
The middleware and how I just didn't like it in Next.js, especially when you're using the output standalone mode. Like, you just run into weird things that just don't work. But it turns out there's actually a giant security vulnerability if you're hosting Next.js on like a VPS, which unfortunately is what I do. I host my Next.js applications.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. People were saying that basically the vulnerability is only for people that are self-hosting, which is like, you know, wonderful. Right now, I don't have any self-hosted Next.js projects. I have one Next.js project that I was hoping to move to VPS. But yeah. Maddox, HCA, ADHD, laugh my ass off. Yeah, doing too many things at once.
On Railway, inside of a Docker image. But luckily, I never trusted the middleware because it just didn't connect to my databases correctly. So if you look at my middleware file, it doesn't actually do anything, because I believe the way you should secure your application is on your server actions and also on whatever is fetching data from the database. You need to have authentication authorization checks at that level. I personally never believed or trusted putting authentication checks and authorization checks solely in the middleware. I think the middleware is more of like a helper thing.
That's true. Suas says, random question, does bro have ADHD? I do not have ADHD. I do not struggle with focus. My wife has ADHD, and I sometimes think my kids might have gotten ADHD, but no, I do not. That's not something I struggle with personally. Like, actually, my problem is actually like the exact opposite of ADHD. My problem is like I become too focused. Like, have you guys ever heard of that term of like being nerd sniped? I do kind of say it that way, don't I? ADHD. Suas says I do. Well, I feel for you guys that do struggle with it, but yeah, my problem is the opposite. Is that I like hyper fixate on shit. That's like why at night when I'm working on projects and stuff, I have to be kind of careful what can of worms I decide to crack open, because if I decide to go after something that's a little ambitious, I'll be up to like 3 a.m. trying to figure it out. Maddox, hyperfixation is a form of ADHD. Well, I did not know that, but I definitely hyperfixate. Or like, yeah, like that like idea of being nerd sniped, where somebody says something, or even you, like, you're like, huh, I wonder if, and then you have to figure it out. So I don't know, maybe I fall into that category and I've never known it. But I've never had the feeling of procrastination or distraction or like task avoidance. That's never been an issue for me, personally.
That can just help your application load a little faster. But remember, always protect your endpoints. When you make a server action, when someone clicks on a button and that invokes some backend code, you should be protecting that. When a page loads, you should be double checking that the person loading that data from your database is who they say they are, and they have the keys to your data. Now, I don't really have too many comments about this security issue, mainly because I've been using TanStack Start in my videos now. I kind of switched over from Next.js. I'm not saying Next.js is bad. I still think it's a really great framework if you want to build out a full stack application. It just has a little bit of things that along the way of using it on my channel for like 2+ years, I just kind of stopped caring about. And unfortunately, this Next.js security issue kind of made me stop caring about it even more. Let's talk about how it works.
I don't care about it, and now I don't care about it even more.
So basically, in your middleware behind the scenes, Next.js has some logic where if the request has an X middleware sub request, and I believe it has to check if the value is set to something, then it's going to actually just bypass the middleware function and just go straight to your endpoint. Now, I don't know if I truly understand why this would be here to prevent recursion.
Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know how many of you guys actually are Next.js users. I've used Next.js like 3 or 4 times now to build stuff, but largely have now avoided it because the last project I built, I got so fucking frustrated with with caching issues, particularly client-side caching, that I just decided not to use it anymore. But yeah, this is kind of interesting. So I guess if you're using Next.js and you want to be using their middleware and you want to host it yourself, not a good idea. Excuse me. Or at least you need to upgrade if you're on one of the vulnerable versions. Maddox. So my form of ADHD is called executive function disorder. Like, I know what needs to be done. My brain has a hard time prioritizing. It treats everything like a priority, so nothing is, and it halts. It's like halt and catch fire. That's what that makes me think of. Priority overload. Yeah, man, that sucks. Yeah, I feel for you. I feel for you guys. Because I see it in my wife. You know, I live with someone who has ADHD every day, so I kind of see that struggle to be productive and to accomplish things. It can be a real challenge.
Recursive request from triggering infinite loops. The security report showed it was possible to skip running middleware, which could allow requests to skip critical checks such as authorization, cookie validation before reaching routes. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure what the point of this is. Like, when would a recursive infinite loop happen? I'm guessing if the middleware is making a request back to another resource on your Next.js application, then this recursive loop can happen, which I'm guessing, like, if you had a fetch request inside your middleware that's fetching from a same, endpoint of your application. But then again, I don't know how they would attach a header manually to your fetch request. But again, they overwrote the fetch functionality and they...
What the hell? Terret Destroyer. What is this? What is this message you just put in my chat? You're like in a... That's like a storyline out of a movie or something. I don't even know how to help you with that. Maddox, Terret, funny, but come on. Yeah, I mean, that's just like, I don't even know what to say to that, man. I was like, good. Just good fucking luck. I don't know. Eeny, meeny, miny, mow the shit out of that decision. I don't know.
like kind of made it their own, so who knows, maybe they're like injecting headers.
Yeah, Terret Destroyer. I've definitely seen this comment before. This comment you just posted, I've seen that comment before. Yeah, don't troll. No one wants to troll. Let's see. Suhas, why? Suhas, what? Yeah, that was exactly my reaction. That was exactly my reaction. Sharath Kumar. Hey, Sharath, how are you doing? What's up? Nothing. We were learning a little Go, and then I got distracted, and somehow now I've decided to subject you all to listening to Web Dev Cody's latest video because I want to watch it.
I'm sure someone who cares more can leave a
comment.
All right,
I'm banning Taro.
Luckily, this only affects standalone mode, so if you are actually using Vercel, this will not affect you. Unfortunately, I don't use Vercel. I use standalone mode on everything, but luckily I don't use middleware. So again, if you're trying to do Next.js and deploying it to like your own VPS and standalone mode, you should probably go and update Next.js as soon as possible, This is my little public service announcement because I do make a lot of Next.js content on my channel, and it would probably be nice to let people know that this exists if you haven't heard about it already. For the things that are not affected, if your application is hosted on Vercel or Netlify, or if you deployed your application as a static export without middlewares, you'll be fine. Looks like they updated it for every major version in the past 4 versions, 15, 14, 13, and 12. So just make sure you update those in your package JSON. But I don't think this is the first time I've seen an issue with middlewares. I believe there was another third-party service that was using middlewares, and that also had a security issue that required a quick update to fix it, where people could bypass your middleware functions. So
Sharath, yeah, it is. This is exactly that Next.js vulnerability. I was mentioning that I had my Twitter was all, or my X feed was all a flurry with activity about this the last couple days. And like I saw like competing reports, like Theo, he's a content creator on X and on YouTube. He was saying it's not a big deal, and then other people were saying it is a big deal. And if you go on, if you search it, like if you just do like Next.js vulnerability, the news articles make it seem like it's a really big deal. But from what WebDev Cody is saying, is it sounds like it's a very big deal, but it's a very small subset of the Next.js user base, right? Because like most people who are using Next.js are deploying it on Vercel. If that's what you're doing, you're not vulnerable to it. You're only vulnerable to it based on what WebDev Cody is saying. You're only vulnerable to it if you're using a vulnerable version, obviously. You're deploying on your own virtual private server, and you're using middleware to do, like user validation and authorization validation, authorization checks, authentication checks, then you're vulnerable. So it seems like it's a very small subset of the user base. But obviously, any type of security vulnerability always gets a lot of play.
I think the takeaway of this...
I mean, that's just humanity, right? Humanity, we're wired to pay much more attention to threats than we are anything else.
Is when you're building out software, the more layers of abstraction you add on to your frameworks and library, the more difficult it is to make sure your code does what you think it is. So looking at this blog post, it looks like you actually have to set a particular value depending on the Next.js version, which to me just sounds like a code smell. Like, why would adding this cause it to bypass the middleware? Why would having it set to a certain page cause it to bypass middleware? That to me is very strange. It's almost like someone added in code that probably should never have been added in the first place. I'm going to go ahead and explain what they're now.
How? You should try, right? No, I would never, Sharath. I am not one of those black hats. Or is it red hat? Who's the bad guy? Red hat or black hat? Black hat? I guess black hat's the bad guy, white hat's the good guy. Let's see. Black hat hacker. Yeah, okay, those are the bad guys. So I don't want to be one of them. Sure, it would be a new learning experience. Black hat doing, yeah. I don't want to do that. But I wonder, yeah, white hat exploits for good. Yeah, you guys straighten me out on that. But like, I wonder, based on what WebDev Cody just said, like, how many people have said that, like, somebody added code that shouldn't have been there. famous last
analysis of this bug. Basically, every time a middleware runs, Next.js checks a special header called X middleware sub request. Number 2, this header.
Let's see. Suha says gray is the best. You can make your own rules. Yeah, it's always fun to live in the gray, isn't it? Until you need a black and white decision, then it's not fun. Evan G says, what do you think about auth implemented with Django REST framework, like through simple JWT? It has a bunch of middlewares. I don't think there's anything with protecting your API with JWT. I don't know anything about how you do that in Django. And I don't know if is simple JWT like a specific library in the Python world. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with Jot for API authentication authorization. I think Jot's kind of become the go-to approach. I think most of the time, if you use Jot, you want to use you want to use both an access token and a refresh token. Because 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have to store the access token if you're using it like if it's like a backend, if it's like an API for a web app. 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna store that access token in local storage because you're gonna need to be able to access it via JavaScript to make requests. And then, but it's going to be very short lived, right? And then you're going to have a refresh token that's stored in a secure HTTP only cookie, and that one you're only going to use to refresh the access token, right? And I know people always say like, wait, you never store your JWT in local storage, but the problem is if you don't store it in local storage and you want to store it in, if you want to also store your access token in an HTTP only secure cookie, the problem then is you open yourself to you're not open. So like if you store it in local storage, people will say you're vulnerable to cross-site scripting. But if you store it in HTTP only cookie, then you are opening yourself to cross-site request forgeries, in which case that means you now have to implement some sort of cross-site request forgery token. And I would say you're better off putting the access token in local storage and defending against cross-site scripting, in my opinion. That's just, I mean, obviously that's some random guy in Kansas's opinion, but that's, I don't think there's anything wrong with using Jot to secure a REST API. I would much rather do that than have to implement, especially if it's an API that serves as the backend to a SPA. Like having to implement some type of CSRF token or anti CSRF token in a SPA would be kind of painful, in my opinion. Or you could do what people say to do is don't roll your own auth. Which I don't know if I necessarily believe with that. I think people should roll their own auth at least once in their life, right? So you can actually learn what's all involved to do it. Suhas, what is your computer specifications? It is a Zephyrus G14. It's from like 2021. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM. I think the processor is like a Ryzen 5900H or 5900HS or something like that. And then it's got a 3060 NVIDIA card in it. So it's not anything high end.
A count of how many times the middleware has run. 3, if it has run too many times. 5, by default. Next.js skips the middleware entirely, which probably explains that last blog post where it had middleware, middleware, middleware. They're probably just attacking on a token to count how many times the middleware has run, and then they just end early, prevent that recursive loop that was mentioned over here, which honestly is pretty crazy. Like, I don't know why they would even have this in a function that's supposed to sit in front of all of your routes and all of your API endpoints, and it's supposed to be used
3060. Yeah, and it's a laptop, you know, so it's the 3060 laptop card. Evan G, it's painful to run it yourself. Yeah, especially about security and data Yeah, I mean the big one is just when you roll your own auth, you're taking you really have to know what you're doing, right? Because you're taking all that into your own hands versus if you use an existing auth provider, you kind of help alleviate some of it. But I think from a learning perspective, it's useful to implement it, right? For your own edification, right? As a developer or as a programmer or coder, to be able to speak to it, like, that what's involved to implement an auth flow, right? You need a login, you need to register, you need to log in, you need to forgot password probably. You need to kind of understand the basic flow of like, how do you get the access token? How do you use the refresh token? How do you rotate the refresh token every time you get a new access token? That's all. I think that's all very useful to go through that process, in my opinion. Maybe you don't ever implement auth for like your company, right? Like you never have to actually build a system where you roll your own auth. But if you've done it once or twice, it feels much less mystical and magical. At least that's my own experience with it. Is like implementing it myself was a good learning experience.
Specifically for reroutings and authentication and authorization checks. Why would you ever have code that can be bypassed is beyond me. I'm guessing there's some weird scenario where in Next.js, if you write your middleware a little bit wrong, it just recursively calls itself and probably completely runs up your bill. And so they added this as a stopgap to prevent that and prevent people's bills from going through the roof. But I guess doing that caused a giant security vulnerability. So anyway, I think that's all I want to talk about. I guess if you guys have more information, I know you guys come to me for more information.
Yes, we do, Web Dev Cody, and thank you very much. Your information was very helpful. I'm going to share this. Let's see, at Web Dev Cody strikes again. Oh, I guess I can't use that there. Suhas, just like data structures and algorithms. Yeah, I totally like that, Suhas, right? You're probably not going to implement, you probably don't want to re-implement, like that's something I'm experiencing with like the AI, the ML and AI learnings I've been doing, is there's a lot of pre-existing layers in that world. And it's good to sort of know what they do and how they work, but you're not going to go and re-implement an algorithm that somebody's already implemented and works perfectly fine, all just to say you did it yourself. But sometimes maybe you want to go through the process of doing it just so that you have a better like mental model, right? Which is probably what I'm trying to say when I say, you should try to implement your own JWT authentication and authorization one time, because then you'll have a good mental model for how that works. Doesn't mean necessarily you're going to use that in like a real production app. Suhas, I just do it for fun. Yeah. Well, Suhas, we have different definitions of what fun is. All right, guys. Well, I don't have much else to talk about or share at the moment, but I appreciate you guys all hanging out with me again. A little bit longer stream, a couple hours. So I'll be back tomorrow, though. Probably stream again for about an hour in the morning. And then assuming my afternoon does not run away from me, I'll be aiming for streaming at about 2 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow as well. And if you ever want to talk or interact outside of the streams, obviously you can join the Discord. That's a good place. Otherwise, I'll see you in another stream or video or short or something. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your, good rest of your Wednesday. And if it's already Thursday for you, I hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.